Hey everybody, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of our course structure. That way you'll be more familiar with how the course operates. I am on the course homepage. The first thing you'll notice is the news item, which you've probably already bypassed by now. Any important information that I need to relay to you, as well as my weekly updates, will appear right there in the news item. For the most part, I will try to keep those brief so I don't bore you to death before we get started. The second item you'll notice here is the calendar, which contains all the due dates for each of the modules that we'll be completing. Typically, we'll only spend time reviewing one chapter per week. Some chapters will require us to cover them in multiple weeks for more difficult concepts, but for the most part, I think you'll find the pace of the course pretty good. The other thing you might notice is the update section. Well, it will tell you whether or not you have attempted a quiz. Right now mine says 16 quizzes. You really don't need to worry about that so much because they only will be due the week that they are assigned. So if you have an opportunity to look at that, then don't worry about it so much because they may not even be due yet. The other option here is how many new emails. So I strongly encourage you to stay on top of your emails because that's a secondary method of communication. At some point, I'll probably give you access to my Slack channel, which is a web-based chatting program to serve as my virtual office. So if you need to ask questions offline, then you'll be able to do that. The next item I'll click on is the content page. When you first enter the course, you'll see the overview section, and you've already probably seen this as well. The course starts January 17th, ends May 14th, and then we'll be covering some more intermediate topics regarding the Java programming language. So if you have not taken Java before, and even though you've taken Programming Fundamentals 1 at a different campus, I strongly encourage you to really consider whether or not you want to continue. The reason for that is that we will not spend a lot of time covering introductory concepts. We will, right off the bat, start working on Java classes. And if you don't have a solid foundation of the Java programming language, covering concepts prior to that, you probably struggle in this course. And I really care about your success, so I really don't want to see that happen. I would strongly encourage you to continue the class, the second level, at the campus where you took the first level, and that way you can continue in that same language because each campus gets to decide what they teach. The syllabus is listed here as well, so you can get an idea of all the topics that we'll cover, the required book, and yes, you do need a book for this class. I do not encourage you to try to use an older edition, nor do I encourage you to try to attempt the course without a book at all. Even though I do provide additional free resources, that will not be enough to cover the intermediate topics that we will cover in this class. You will struggle, and a lot of the assignments, if not all of them, come directly from the textbook, so you will need to have that on hand. If you're worried about the cost of the textbook, then I would encourage you to rent it for the semester, and the renting fees start about $50. I'm not sure what the bookstore charges, but that is the going rate for online if you decide to rent it there. I also have a breakdown of how the grades are calculated, as well as the grading scale, and then there is a course outline of all the topics that we will cover. Now, depending on how the course as a whole progresses, the schedule may change. We may get to cover all chapters, or we may get to cover only some of the chapters. I'll make that decision as we progress, just depending on whether or not everybody is grasping the concepts before we move on. I'm not one of those that have to cover every single topic. If you're struggling, say with chapter 15, then we might just skip it and go on to the next one, or spend a little bit more time on it if the 2 weeks is not enough. From here, you'll click on Start Here, and you'll see all of the options that you have. You'll get to know Brightspace. If you're not familiar with the D2L learning environment, then you'll want to go through and watch those short video clips to learn how to use the tools. Brightspace is the name of the learning management system. D2L is the name of the company that created it. Up until a few years ago, it did not have a name, but it was branded Brightspace. So if you hear me say D2L or hear me say Brightspace, I'm talking about the same thing. From there, familiarize yourself with the course, just a brief overview of all the weekly modules, or the modules in the course and what they are, and then read the syllabus. Just another copy of the syllabus, same syllabus, just a different copy that you can download, as well as a link to our textbooks price comparison page on bigwords.com. So if you still haven't purchased the book, you have a little bit of time, but you definitely want to make sure you have that book by mid-week 2 so you can get caught up before we start the first chapter in this class. The instructor info is just my instructor information, just a little bit about me. The next module is the weekly modules, which is the meat and potatoes of the course. Typically, I only release 1 week at a time, and that's just to keep everybody on track and not to overwhelm you, because we will cover quite a bit of information, and I definitely don't want to discourage you up front. So I'm probably only going to release 1 week at a time, which will keep you plenty busy for that week. So this first week, we're just going to be doing an introduction and going through some introductory concepts. Now, this is one of the only times that we will cover introductory concepts. So if you have questions, you should probably ask them this week and then get an idea of whether or not you want to continue with the course. This week is going to be rapid fire, so you'll have to spend a lot of time independently reviewing those concepts. I have included the quizzes, optional review quizzes for you there. So if you click on optional review quizzes, you'll be able to get access to the first 7 chapter review quizzes. And these are the ones from Programming Fundamentals 1, so you'll be able to go through and review those before you get started, and that will be a good indication whether or not you're ready to continue with this class. So if you can score at least an 80% on all of these quizzes, then you should be prepared to take level 2. If you do not, then that might be a reason for concern, and you want to go back and review those chapters if you're just missing a few things. But if your average on all the exams is 70 or below, then you may want to evaluate whether or not this class is right for you. The next item we have is a general discussions area, and these discussions are typically not graded except for the introduction. You will get credit for doing that, but the help discussion topic and the experience tips and tricks are non-graded discussions. So if you have help, you can always post it to the help discussion topic, and I encourage people to do that rather than email me directly, and that way anybody in the class could answer the question and you don't have to wait for me to answer all questions. The second option you have is each week I will ask you for your experience, any tips, any tricks, or any aha moments that you may have experienced that week, or any additional resources that you may have found helpful during that week. I know what my teaching style is, but my teaching style may not always reflect the way that you learn, and I get that. So you may have to look to other resources beyond the ones that I have provided you to help you learn the material that week. And I'm okay with you sharing what problems you had and what other resources you found that were more helpful than maybe what I've provided to you. The appendices section is very helpful. These are the things that are typically found in the back of the book. In particular, it talks more about creating Java docs and answers to the checkpoints. So throughout the chapter, they will have checkpoint questions. The answers to those are there. And for the review questions, for those of you who would like to do those and then check yourself, the odd number review question answers are also available there, in addition to some other things. Now, I may not make reference to all of these appendices, but I just put them all there just in case you run into something that you may want to look up. In the additional resources section, I have a link to my programming resources, and these are just some of my favorite websites that have a lot of resources for students, documentation, flowcharting, public professional organizations. If you click more, you'll also have some recommended books. I also teach Python online, so that's why you see the Python books there. I have not investigated any Java texts yet, but I highly recommend Clean Code and the 97 Things Every Programmer Should Know if you're looking for some good reading. So let me go back to additional resources and continue on. And then there's just some links that I will mention throughout the course here. I just pulled those out so you'll be able to get at them right quick. The facts page goes through all of the most frequently asked questions. What software we're going to be using, how long does it take to grade, are there any due dates, do I have to purchase a book, and those sorts of things. And if there are any questions that I have not answered here, then I encourage you to post it to help so everybody can benefit from the answer. With that said, I wish you a worthwhile experience in this course, and I look forward to seeing you online soon.